How to overcome fear with your horse. Hi, my name is Chris Adderson. I'm the founder of the Harmony for the Horse online riders course and program. Have you ever felt like you want to finally get great rides with your horse, but it's going to be too risky because your horse is just too spooky? Have you ever maybe gone to the gate to get your horse, to bring your horse out to ride, and you have that awkward pause or those butterflies that are building within your stomach and they're screaming to you like, what if something happens? What if this? What if that? What about if you ever feel that burn, that deep down burn of frustration because you absolutely know that you can do this and it seems genuinely within your reach, but somehow you're not able to communicate clearly with your horse and in a way that helps your horse to be relaxed, to be calm, and have an enjoyable time with you? Have you ever been tempted to just give up because you find your mind sliding into the place, well, maybe I'll just get another horse, or maybe this horse isn't meant for me, or maybe this just won't work for me? And have you ever maybe gotten off of what you thought was a pretty good ride? You felt like it was pretty perfect for you too, but it didn't feel amazing. So if this is you, if you can answer yes to any of those questions, then you're in the right place, because we're going to talk about fear and overcoming fear with your horse today. What is it that you most fear with your horse? What is it that makes you feel like you just say to yourself, I don't think I know what to do. If this happens, if my horse decides that there's something really spooky in the corner, will I know what to do? Maybe I won't know what to do. I was working with one of our students and she had a really nice horse, but she was always explaining to me that her horse was hot, her horse was spooky, and she was just generally scared to ride, especially on windy days and rainy days. She didn't know when it was coming, but she would actually avoid riding on those days. So it was like there's this little pea inside her horse's mind or somewhere inside her horse's body that was rolling around, and when this rainy, windy day happened, that pea would really start to roll around and get ready to explode. And it was really actually like pouring rocket fuel into a car and not having a steering wheel. It's going to get you nowhere really fast. You can burn a lot of money and time trying out stuff that doesn't work, and confidence, your own confidence, because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't work out there. And so what I noticed, what was happening with her between this rider and this horse, was that she was becoming so fearful that she was turning into saying things like, my horse is just having a temper tantrum, or my horse is being really bad and acting up. She was actually turning it over to horse. And so she had very good intentions. This student had very, very good intentions and was very aware of what she was doing, but she didn't realize the depth of where she was going with this and where those thoughts, those words, those sentences were coming from. So even though she had great intentions, there were some critical things that were going on deep inside her, and they needed to be addressed before she could do anything with her horse. Before she could even move forward with her horse, those things had to be addressed. If you don't know this, you're going to end up with horses and therefore rides that are not satisfying. So there are those critical things that you need to know about yourself before you can progress with your horse. And the second thing I noticed with her is that she didn't have the knowledge to be able to go deep at the beginning with her horse, to tap into the stressors, or I call them buttons, relating to her specific horse. Third thing I noticed is that she didn't know how to help her horse coordinate her horse's whole body. Do you know how to help your horse think through a problem? Do you know what to do when a problem arises? And this is literally the one filter that we use with all of our work with spooky horses and fearful riders. Because if you don't know how to help your horse to think through a problem for themselves, it just then becomes down to the aids, or it's puppetry, and that leads to confusion, overwhelm, frustration, and the fear remains. The fear stays there. It stays there within your horse, and it stays there within you. So then both of you are not empowered. It's that simple, and it's full of integrity when you approach it this way. If I'm not teaching you or my students how to do this, then I'm not honoring myself, and I'm not honoring my horse or your horse. I want my horses to want to work with me. I want my horses to want to be with me and to have a voice and to know that they have a voice. I don't want to manipulate them to do things, and I don't want to manipulate them inadvertently to do something that is going to hurt themselves or hurt their bodies. I don't want to disregard their voice. So that all sounds like should, because that's where you get things like sacking out or desensitizing. The one rein stop. Have any of you heard of those things or done those things? And what that leads to is a robot for a horse, right? A turned off horse. A horse who is succumbing because there's no other choice. The horse is realizing they don't have a voice. They have no way to express what's their opinion is, so they just succumb and become obedient. What we need to do instead is we need to change our horse's perspective in a fearful situation, help them to reconnect with their true, soft, honest movement in order to overcome that. That we want our horses to have a voice, we want our horses to be able to express themselves, and we want to be able to help them to think through a problem. How do we do that? And this is what we do within our program. We have to take our horses from the troubled position to the true soft movement. From the troubled position to true soft movement. So I have another question for you. Are you crystal clear on that process? Because the rider fear is that we need to get to the very basis of why you have that fear. And we sort that out for you. As riders, we all have fears, don't we? This is something that we have to approach and we have to overcome, and we have to address this. Are you crystal clear on the process to take your horse from their troubled position to their true soft movement? So what I mean by troubled position is, where do they go when they are stressed out? Like, let's say they're thinking that there's something spooky coming behind them. What is it that they do specifically with their body? Do they lift their head, maybe look sharp left and lean on the right shoulder? Are you crystal clear on the process to get them from that place to the true soft movement? Far too often I talk to riders and they just don't know. They just don't know how to do that. And it needs to be clarity on the specifics of what your horse needs specifically, and only those specifics, not a whole bunch of stuff. So it needs to be chunked down to the very specifics so that you're not bombarding your horse with too much information, especially during a time that there's a stressor. So this is when your horse will say to you, I trust you. I can do this. I'm ready to turn loose to you. Even though there's that stressor happening, if you know this process, this is what your horse will say to you. And if you can't dial that in, and if you are fearful yourself because you don't know how to dial that process in, then it'll just continue. And it'll haunt you with your fears, and it'll haunt your horse with their fears. The second thing I want to ask you, are you crystal clear on what your horse's trouble position is? Comparatively, do you know what your horse's true soft movement is? If you don't know those two extremes, then how can you possibly go from one to the other? If you aren't able to articulate this super clearly, and this is one of the things we do in our program, we help you to find out what this is specifically for your horse. If you're asking them to do something that you don't have the knowledge of, then that doesn't make any sense. How is that going to work? So this is a very big realization, the realization of what your horse's troubled position is, what you have now, and where you want to go. What is it that you're looking for? If you don't know those, then you won't be able to tap into it. And then if you add multiple stresses on top of that, maybe your horse is spooking, maybe it's windy, maybe it's raining, maybe you have a bit in the horse's mouth, maybe there's another distraction. If you add multiple stresses to that situation, you're still going to be stuck. You're still going to get no results or minimal results, and you're still going to be faced with crippling fear, wondering when that next spook is going to come around the corner. And that's no fun, right? It's no fun to ride like that. If this makes sense to you, that you need to know the process from troubled position to true soft movement. You need to know what the troubled position is, and you need to know what the true soft movement is. Because I want to clarify this for you of what I think is going on here from studying many horses myself, rescuing many horses and working with all of their issues, helping them to overcome their past, helping them to find a way for them to think through a problem that they have, and working with my own personal horses as well as helping my students through this, how to teach their horses how to do this. And I've given you just a little taste here. It's just to get you thinking about this. But when we do this with our students in our program, we have exercises that we do in great detail, basically figuring out who you are, how you relate to your horse, how you communicate with your horse, where you come from. And we use that blueprint of who you are to help you to overcome your fears personally, overcome your fears with your horse. And then it's perfect. It's perfect for you, because if we can use your blueprint to help you to overcome your fears and overcome your fears with your horse, then you can think your way through a problem. You can think your way through your fears. Your fears are not controlling you. You're able to think your way through that and then be able to give that to the horse. And that's how you overcome rider fear. The third thing I want to mention too is the different states. We have physical, mental, and emotional states. The issue comes with us, and we're merging our horses into our human world, and it's related to the continuum. So we need to know where our horses are on the continuum of this merge to being in a partnership with a human. Where on the continuum are you and your horse? Do you know where you are? This is the continuum. We have the place where we want to end up, which is the most awesome place. You can go pick out your horse from the pasture, know that you'll have an awesome ride every time. It'll be fulfilling, it'll be fun, it'll be satisfying, it'll be liberating. Then you have the other end of the continuum where it's like raw. The experiences are scary, it's spooky, there's confusion around it. This is where we don't want to be. We want to be in the awesome place. That's where we want to be, in the happy place. Where are you and your horse on that continuum? And this is where we can evaluate the three states. In our program, we do this too. We help you to see where you're going and how you can help your horse to see the way, the process that your horse needs to think their way through a problem that arises and find the comfort. Because when the horse realizes that they can think their way through a problem and there's comfort on the other side, they can do that for themselves. If we condition that, they can do that for themselves. And then we don't have to do it so often. Yes, there will be times when we have to remind them, but we know the process. We know where we're coming from. We know where we're going. We know their troubled position. We know all the events that happen, and we know where we're going to. We know what we're looking for. So we know the process in between too, so then we can be the guide. And then the horse starts to realize that there's comfort within their body. There's not a pain. They're not having physical pain within their body because they're straining in this troubled position. They then start to move in their most beautiful, pure, soft movement. with pole flexion, with longitudinal flexion, with the lifting of the sternum and the lifting of the spine, with the pelvis dorsal-ventral flexion. They start to move as a unit, and you can show them how to do that. And you can show them how to think through the problem when they're spooked and they instinctively go to that place where they always go because it's familiar. You can show them how to get out of that. You can show them that there is a way in the first place because you know the way. So back to the states, the mental, physical, and emotional. We are going to evaluate those three states in any given situation, and always have the partnership which is involving conversation. There's always conversation between two beings. If that's shut off, if that's closed off, then you don't have a true partnership. And you evaluate the states so that your horse can see what's waiting for them on the other side. If they are in an emotional state, you've helped them through that. You've guided them through that. So then they can see what's on the other side for them. What's that next blade of grass that's juicy and softer, that's waiting for them because they're with you. And then they'll figure that out for themselves. Because you're there to be a guide for your horse. You're there to guide them to that awesome place on the continuum. They may be somewhere along that continuum where it's not awesome. They don't want fear. They don't want anxiety. Horses want peace. Horses want to get along. I strongly believe that. Horses are not bad. They're not being misbehaving. They're not having tantrums. They're just communicating. And in order to communicate, you have to listen and you have to have a conversation back and forth. In order to jump from the listening part to having the conversation part, you need to know everything that I just talked about here. Everything that I just explained to you. That's how you have the conversation part. Horses are generally hopeful beings unless we as humans drill that out of them. And I see this all the time where horses have lost their hope. They come with hope in this world, in with humans. They're domesticated animals. They're not wild. Horses are domesticated, so they're used to being around humans. They're born, they come with a hope they will get along with us unless we drill that out of them. So if you'd like help with anything that I've mentioned here, if you'd like support with the fears that you're experiencing with your horse, then there'll be a link somewhere around this video. Find the link and click on the link and we'll see how we can help you with your horse, because it's not a mystery. It all makes total sense. There is a process. There is a way. Troubled position to the pure, true movement. It's there. It exists. And the horse hopes to get there. The horse wants to get there with you. They're just being a horse. So if that resonates with you, find the link somewhere around this video. Someone on my team or I will be happy to chat with you about what's happening with your struggles, with your fears, with your horse, and how you can finally resolve them so that you can have rides that are totally fulfilling and predictable. You're not at the mercy of what if. So thanks so much for being here. It's great to have you. Have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you next time. If you have some questions, put notes for me below and I'll answer your questions. See you next time. Bye for now.